In today's episode, we are diving into a topic that's as raw as it gets. My journey of ditching Instagram filters and finally falling back in love with my real, unfiltered face. We are talking about self doubt, the hate, the surprising breakthroughs, and why showing up as your imperfectly perfect self is the most rebellious, authentic thing you can do in a world obsessed with perfection. If you've ever felt trapped by the pressure to look flawless or just want to see what happens when you stop hiding behind a filter, this episode is for you. Let's get real and into it. Okay, my love. So let me set the scene for you for today's podcast episode. We're gonna talk about me ditching Instagram filters or filters on any kind of social media platform that I'm currently using. So I'm also using TikTok and also Facebook, and I'm ditching them all. And how this went about was, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was just sitting on my couch. I was kind of like preparing myself for recording an Instagram story, and the light wasn't really in my favor, and I was really used to using filters for a very very long time. I think like 2 years. And I remember a while back, like prior 2 years, I was mixing it. I was using my natural face as like a story without filters or video without filters and also with filters. So I used a good balance. But since like 2 years, I have been using filters nonstop. And so I'm sitting on the couch. I want to record a story because I had really something, a message to share. And I look onto my phone screen on this rectangle, and suddenly I see my face and I go like, how ugly am I? That was seriously the thought. I used internally that word ugly, and it really rattled me. I was like, oh my goodness, and then I looked at myself in the onto the screen, and all I could see was like imperfections, and I seriously didn't like what I saw. Well. Using filters got me so used to a face that's perfectly airbrushed, where I have a tan all my face, lips just the right pout, skin glowing like I had a $500 facial that day, and everything looked just very even. My complexion was just radiant. And here's the thing, that was obviously not the reality. And my face, the real one that I see in the bathroom mirrors, just doesn't look like any of my filters on Instagram. And I hated that. I hated it. And what I hated most was not just, me not liking the face that like smiled back on my screen. What I hated was actually the observation that using a filter on Instagram or on any other social media platform is not aligned to my value, which, and one of my most important values, which is authenticity. And I have one fear, and the fear is that I'm not being authentic enough. So this is something that I'm working through. So obviously I was like, "Oh my god, that is not authentic. I'm showing my face as it's actually not." And don't we have enough faces on Instagram shining that are actually so perfect that we get so insecure because everything looks flawless, even though we see that they use a filter? But we still think that without the filter, they are that beautiful and that even, and the nose might be a bit smaller, the eyes might be a little bit bigger and brighter, the lips like full and lush. And, I was then going through all the people that I'm following, and I'm following really just a small handful on Instagram, just a few creators, and only a very, very few are either using filters or mixing it up with natural face and filters. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'm giving my audience an inauthentic picture of myself. So I don't want to say that I will never ever use filters because I will. Filters are a great way of when you're not feeling your best to just have it on, when you just, want to record something important and you're just not feeling it without a filter. I am totally cool with this because, when we are like approaching our menstrual cycle, especially in the luteal phase, which is the cycle or that phase of the cycle where we are bloated, where we have PMS, where we seriously don't like what we see, right? We have maybe like a way, like the eyes are puffy, the whole face is more puffy. And that is cool to use it. I definitely will not abstain completely 100% for the rest of my life. I don't want to put myself under the pressure saying I'm not gonna use filters anymore, because I know from my younger version when I said like I'm not gonna do this anymore, and then it creates so much pressure to conform to what you are saying. I'm not gonna do this. So I definitely gonna use filters here and there, but it should be more in the 10% range than in the 90% range and then just 10% without filters. So this is one thing. And another thing is that if you are using filters, if you have insecurities, or if other people that I'm observing or following are using filters, I have absolutely zero judgment for that. Just because I deem filters for myself as not healthy, and I want to create a more authentic brand. And I also want to, if you look at Instagram at my profile, or when you are see me on stories, I just want to show you how I look like. And again, I might use filters once in a while, but I want to give a bit of better, like natural impression how my face looks, and make that more like normal. And if other people or you are still using filters, hey, all cool, all absolutely cool. And this is just my own personal authentic journey. And, me looking into my face on camera and saying ugly, that was the first thought I had, is not cool with me. It wasn't cool with me. I knew I exaggerated that filter usage, and it's not authentic at freaking all. So, I had trained myself to believe that the filtered version of me was my real face. So actually, when I saw my natural face, I was like, "Oh my freaking goodness!" Because the face that I saw at the end of the day, where there was no makeup, but my freckles were showing. I mean, that is how I look like. I have pimple spots. I have redness sometimes in my face, and I just want to normalize this. And yeah, I just knew at that point it wasn't okay to think of myself as ugly, because I got so addicted and used to seeing myself in filters. And I also knew deep down I was living a double life, not just with others but with myself, with the whole filter exaggeration. So yeah, and then one day 2 weeks ago, when I had that realization that is not authentic what I'm doing here with using the filters 90%, 95%, or maybe 100% of the time, I just made a commitment. I am not gonna use filters, and I went cold turkey. And well, obviously the first time you record and see yourself without a filter is a ride. I don't know if you have ever tried it, not using filters. Maybe you are never using filters. Hey, more power to you, amazing. And maybe you cannot even understand, how it is if you come off the filter addiction, as I call it. So it was really quite a ride. It was something totally new. But in the end of the day, it really felt good. It wasn't an overnight transformation. At first, I thought maybe I'll just do one no filter story just as an experiment. I wasn't talking about it on social media yet with my audience. I was just more like, let's see how it goes. Because before I go and it's like say that I'm doing something like publicly, I make sure I have worked on that myself, that I know I'm feeling comfortable with it. I have, taken my time without pressure to do something that I, haven't been doing in a specific way. So yeah, and then at some time, it was really cool. And I didn't hide myself behind the filter, and now it's been my third week and it feels just really cool. And again, as someone like me who preaches authenticity, how could I possibly live that value if it wasn't showing, if I wasn't even showing my real face? And the funny thing is, like, now where I don't need filters, it is so hilarious. I recorded 2 TikTok videos yesterday, really spontaneously. Like, I've not thought about much about the script or anything, no filter whatsoever. And I also talked about that I'm not using filters anymore. And actually, I got again quite a bunch of followers. So it seems like people want to follow along that journey of no filters, and also like maybe also being okay with seeing a face that's just imperfectly perfect. And I also know there will people sneak into comment section and say, oh, put makeup on, or because my eyebrows are quite thick and long, so they were really messy when I was recording. But I was like, yeah, let's just be cool with it. I'm pretty sure there will be comments at some point saying, yeah, you should just get your act together, kind of. But it's cool. But it's not just about me now, so I'm not just telling you this and share my personal journey with this. This is something way bigger. So filters have become the new norm on social media, especially for women. And I feel like, and I don't know how you feel about it, but social media is oversaturated with impossibly flawless faces. It is absolutely crazy. And do you know what that does to you and me by this, like, big amount of impossibly flawless faces? It's killing your confidence as it killed my confidence over the time. And here's some facts that I also want to bring to this podcast, because I think that also undermines that this is not just, me being more aligned with my values, being authentic, showing my real face, but there is something way bigger behind. And I think if we dare to show up more with our natural faces and showing our imperfections, we're also getting used to not this 100% flawless faces, and feel also more connected and related to, how people share the message, because we're not so distracted by their imperfections. So here's some facts. So face dysmorphia is skyrocketing. So a study from 2022 by the American Academy of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery found that 77% of patients who sought cosmetic procedures were influenced by how they appeared in selfies. No surprise there, right? Filters equals depression triggers. So it's actually also that the filters are not just, when we use them once in a while, when we are not feeling our best, that's totally fine. But filters do cause depression, they do trigger depression. And according to a 2021 report by the Mental Health Foundation, women who heavily use face altering filters and rely on them are 30% more likely to experience body dissatisfaction and anxiety. And I actually can vouch for that, because I mean, me thinking that I'm ugly, and when I like really thought that when I saw my real face on Instagram on the story without a filter, I really felt a huge pit in my stomach. I really like it. I dropped my energy. I was really getting really sad about the way how it looked like, because I got so used to this flawless complexion with a filter. So totally get that this can cause or trigger depression over time. And yeah, another study from Dove's, the brand, self-esteem project, found that 80% of teenage girls compare their real looks to their edited photos and feel they fall short. So this is not just a me problem here, or maybe a you problem. It's a systemic, and filters have really turned beauty into a battlefield, and we are walking around like wounded soldiers because we were hiding our real beauty. So for me, falling back in love with my face was the journey to come home to. And so what started like me, trying to go filterless, was something that I didn't even feel like could happen. And yesterday it happened, and that's why I wanted to record that podcast. It was like because I began to fall back in love with my real face. I recorded, as I said, two TikTok videos, and I have cystic acne on my chin once in a while, and it's like this very deep down, it's very reddish, very painful pimples that you can't really pop because it's all so deep down in the skin, and they're very painful, they're very red, and I don't want to cover them necessarily with under makeup. I do when I go out for a drink or for a social outing, but I don't want to cover that all the time because I want to give my skin time to heal, and I feel like the cover up is not always that beneficial. So, and then I looked myself in the camera, and I was like, that's just so perfect, because if I were somebody else looking at me with being so imperfect but also so confident, isn't that just authentic and charismatic and so much more relatable than me showing up completely with the best, like perfect complexion on my face? And it was such a good feeling because I have also freckles, and freckles, they are my map of every sunny day I have spent outside. And my smile lines and my claw feet, they are proof that I lived, loved, and laughed my ass off. So all the love lines, smile lines, or whatever it's called, crow feet, they are all signs that I have shown emotions over and over again, and I appreciate that. So my imperfection, they are what actually make me perfectly and undeniably me, because I look with my freckles, with my redness, with my red spots, and whatever, with my smile lines. That's just how I look, and nobody will ever look exactly like I look, right? And this is not just about self-love, it was about showing up for other women too, because as I said before, when was the last time that you saw an unfiltered face on social media? Maybe you're following a bunch of, but I did not, because even though the people that I'm following are amazing content creators or really amazing teachers, they're all mostly, especially women, using filters. So yeah, and why it matters so much to me is you stop using filters was because I wanted to refuse to be part of a system that tells women they are not enough as they are. I want my face, my real flaw, beautiful face, to be a reminder that perfection is just a lie. And it's also not worth on spending time, money on making your face forever young. I mean, don't get me wrong, I use supplements and red light therapy, and I do so much to keep my skin hydrated, but it's not about anti-aging, it's just more about healthy aging with my skin. So, and yeah, my face is definitely not flawless, and I don't want a filter to be the lie of my life. And also, I'm all about authenticity. So when you see me on Instagram without a filter, it's not because I'm necessarily fearless and I'm like, oh, fuck it. It's because I believe in us. I believe in you, and I believe in creating a world where no woman feels like she has to hide behind a filter app or a filter on a story. Yeah, and if this resonates with you and you're using regularly filters, you can try. Go filter free for a week, maybe for a day. Post a story or one photo, or even just FaceTime a friend and abstain from filters. This is one way how you can do this. Or just reconnect with your real face. Spend 5 minutes every morning looking at yourself in the mirror. Don't judge, and really look as if you see yourself for the first time. And do not judge. And obviously, when I say do not judgment will come up. A lot will come up, maybe. But notice the judgment that you have when you look yourself into the mirror. It is all about, when I say do not judge, is actually, I say that because I know you're gonna judge yourself, and then not judging yourself with judging yourself, if that makes sense to you. So look into I do this every morning. I when I do my skincare routine, I look into my face, and I really practice loving it. I practice loving it, and not just, practice loving it, but I also appreciate that, because my face has been with me for almost 40 years, and it has seen a lot of things. It has to, it went with me through so many experiences, bad experience, good experience, unhealthy experiences, and that all shows, and that is okay. I don't want to be 90 and look like 20. I mean, I want to look hot as fuck when I'm 90, but in a wise way, in a good way, in a healthy way. So go and check yourself in the mirror. I have done this. I do this really every single day. Now I'm doing this really, it's already implicit. Like, I'm doing this without like really thinking about it. And it has been such a good game changer in the way how I appreciate my freckles, my pimples, my smile lines, and my imperfect perfect face. And yeah, I talk about it. Share your journey. The more we normalize real faces, the less power filters will have over you, over me, over us women. And yeah, let me know how it goes if you challenge yourself with those few things that I suggested. And yeah, that's it for today, my love. If you're ready to ditch the filters, yeah, reach out to me, DM me, or tag me in your no filter selfies. And yeah, let's start a movement of women who are done pretending, done hiding, and done apologizing for being real and looking like natural as we do. And yeah, this has been I Do Me. Boo. Until next time, stay bold, stay authentic, and for the love of everything holy, stay unfiltered. I love you. Thanks for joining. Bye.